presentation up. Morena, my name's Lauren Lilikoi Lima, and I'm the Manager of Geospatial Intelligence for Waka Kotahi.
Good morning, and I'm Peter Willoughby, Manager of Geospatial Systems at Waka Kotahi, and business owner on this project. And we're here basically to talk about our journey to spatial as a service, really, and how and why we've opted for the Kubernetes-based platform. I thought that spatial as a service, SPAS, was not really going to work so well, so we just used SAS. So, yeah.
It's more standardized, right?
Yeah. So yeah, what we're going to cover is a lot of strategic stuff, so agency strategy and goals, a lot about our digital strategy, geospatial strategy, and the role that Kubernetes plays in that and the decisions that we've made about that. So this afternoon, we'll be talking more about some of the technical decisions and options that we looked at, and so the approach that we took. So join us this afternoon if you'd like to know a little bit more about that. It's in the Arctis Enterprise session, or grab me and have a chat. I'm here for the rest of the conference, so happy to share. Right.
Cool. So just going over a bit of the reasons why we do these things. Strategically, Waka Kotahi tries to follow our compass, which is Te Kapahu. Sets out our place and aspirations within the wider land transport system. And it sets our direction for what we want to achieve as an organization, how we will go about doing this, and why we're here. So the main points about that is we are moving together as one. We leave great legacies, deliver the right things, and enable the safe system. And then we have our values, which is a nice video that we don't have to talk through. So please enjoy.
Ngā mā tāpono o te Waka Kotahi. Our values at Waka Kotahi. Ngākau Aroha. Ngākau Aroha means to be empathetic, kind and considerate of others. Ngākau Aroha is an expression of showing love, care and empathy for others. We care about our people, our work and our environment. Ngākau Aroha. Kotahitanga. Kotahitanga means a sense of oneness or unity. Kotahitanga reflects the importance of unity, working together and strengthening meaningful relationships with one another. Kotahitanga. Kia Maya. Kia Maya means to be brave, bold and confident. Kia Maya means to be brave and courageous in our work, while still upholding and respecting the mana of ourselves and others. Kia Maya. Mahia. Mahia means to do the work and get things done. Mahia means we inspire success and excellence in the work we do, creating enduring legacies as we deliver our best work every day. Mahia.
So I think with the application of Kubernetes, we are being brave and we're trying to be at the forefront of capability and lead in the acceleration of digital, which is one of our key strategies that have been prioritized.
Yep. So in accelerating digital, I use digital and technology sort of interchangeably, so to me, when I'm talking about it, it's pretty much the same thing. So in accelerating digital, technology came out with a strategy recently. And I've just sort of lifted out a couple of things from the strategy which which the platform enables and actually helps support digital in delivering that strategy. I mean, you can see things there around digital engineering and digital twin. We've seen so much content here around how integration with BIM and the value that drives, actually building a digital representation of the world and the value that brings to organizations. But I just want to sort of pause there for a minute because I want to take a moment to talk about the importance of linking to digital and the partnership that we've formed with digital, and that is really, really key in us actually going on this journey, because adopting Kubernetes is not something you just switch on and go ahead, especially making some reference to it earlier around doing some digital transformation within government is not something that you just do. It's a whole process, and it's something that takes quite a bit of time. So it is a journey that we've gone on. So that partnership or that better together value is something that's really key for us and in going on this journey, because yes, we can build an automated system that we can switch on and stand up within 20 minutes type thing, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes and around that actually to take the business on that journey. So with the geospatial teams that sit outside of digital or outside of technology, we have had to be really intentional about those relationships with technology and form that partnership so we are actually seen as partners rather than, I guess, cowboys doing our own thing. And that's been a real strong enabler for us in delivering this platform. And when you know, well, like I said, the strategy only recently came out, so it was really difficult to actually align to anything because restructures and a whole bunch of changes and things like that that happened over time. It meant that we didn't have a digital strategy that we could point to and say, this is the way that we want to do things, this is the way that we're going. So some of the key things that really helped us form that relationship and maintain that relationship with technology is just the ways in which we worked and the ways in which we managed our systems. And so those enablers that you see there, the principles that you see within the strategy are things that were common to how we worked within the geospatial system. Having those common grounds or those good practices meant that we were partnering with technology and really enhanced that relationship. So things like, for instance, simplifying our processes, having standards or standardization, automation. If a system can do it for you, let's allow the system to do that for us. And it builds confidence and trust within the systems that we use. Simplifying our tech foundations, or in the next slide, you'll see some of the principles of consolidation. So where systems can quite easily just build a technology stack and build another one, build another one. Let's take an enterprise approach or an ecosystem type approach where there's a single source of truth for tools and technology and capability that can be consumed by the business, and we get reuse of that investment. So these principles we managed a geospatial system by outside of technology, but meant that we partnered with technology on this journey. And so another, I guess, point to make here is that technology were really keen to go on this journey with us. They were at a point where they were ready to go on the journey, so there's a whole bunch of changes that technology would need to do around some of their non-functionals. How do we deploy this new disruptor type technology within our subscription, and how do we monitor it, and how can we secure it? And that whole journey, they needed to be ready to go on, and we needed to be ready to go on. So that's where that coming together and that partnership was really, really key. Also, I guess, given that they were keen to go on it, they needed a project or an initiative to help drive those changes for them. They wanted to go on it. They were looking for containerized solutions. They needed something to help derive what those automated processes might be. What is best practice for us on how we do this within our ecosystem? And so using this project, we were able to I guess, develop what that might look like. And I'll go into that a little bit later in the presentation this afternoon, but it was a win for technology and a win for us, and coming together meant that these benefits are not just a geospatial team's benefits. So just talking a little bit about capability. Capability is so much more than just a platform. It's enabled by a platform, yes, but there is process and people and governance and strategy in that too. And so Lauren's going to continue talking about our spatial as a service strategy within the agency and within the geospatial team.
So we started down this road, and we had a roadmap that started in 2021 with the geospatial platform upgrade and looking to action that within technology and internally, and then looking to move that into an integration project. And now we're at the point where we're looking at what scoping the hub and spoke model within the organization means for us. And then we'll be building from that into a digitally federated ecosystem is the goal. So this is a 3-year project. We're at the very center of it right now, and this is where things start getting really interesting for the intelligence side of the team. We're looking at geospatial to digitally enable the systems utilizing advanced tools, technologies, and to provide best integrated view of the transport system that we can for the national view. Providing strategic value to all aspects of the agency with strong, well-connected partnerships is a key driver for this. So the technology partnerships are super important for us, and as well as looking at the local, regional, and national level of how we can affect the understanding of geospatial and the road network itself. So an ideal state would be delivering a mature service from our group and well-planned and a product management at a mature level to provide insights for the organization. So for that, we're looking at the way that we functioned previously. So in the past, it's been a very siloed approach to geospatial delivery. Each of the groups within Waka Kotahi would build their own capability, build things that are separate, and that siloed geospatial capability didn't have any strategy, didn't have any governance, and there was no single source of true information. So NZTA is currently operating in a semi-federated model with resources mostly centralized in the system leadership area where geospatial sits. This consists of 14 people with 2 contracted resources in at the moment, so 16 people leading this entire thing. So the core structure, we have 5 individuals in the platform management side with Pete, and then 9 members in the intelligence side. So that's not a lot of resource to provide a lot of information out. And right now, it just feels like capacity is just always under pressure. And you don't have time to look forward, but we need to start doing that. So the hub and spoke model, that's where that comes in. So us being the center for the capability as system leadership will help to enable all of the different pieces of geospatial across Waka Kotahi. We're using this as a sort of community of practice that we have to start building. It's based on the business structure with 8 areas of focus, with the hub being housed in systems leadership and spokes as listed above, including contractors, vendors, and partners as extensions of spatial capability as needed. So this is the better together part. We had a bit of a look at the stakeholders that we needed to consider when we were rolling this out. And identified groups which include partners, decision makers, influencers, and some additional dependencies. This is just helping us to understand what our landscape looks like as far as the distribution of capability and how we're going to bring people on the journey with us. So a dominant culture, it's currently a competence-based culture, and they're really good operators, but as reliance on geospatial grows, the business needs do too. So we have increased intellectual capital that we need to start building, and to shift the practice within Waka Kotahi towards focusing on key initiatives. So some of those are planning and investment evidence-based, which our group is focused on to look at the information needs that need to be met, as well as deliver them to the wider business and externals. Another example of that is the Safe Infrastructure Program, which enables enabled our vendors with tools, capabilities, and processes and procedures to self-serve. Another good example of this is Kevin Anthony is here today, just within the group of people who understand this. He's from our property team, so it's a good example of this shift, because we're starting to look at what that wider capability is outside of our geospatial team. We also have to start thinking about establishing some norms within the community of practice to provide guidance, best and good practices, and enable insights and learning. Without the scalability through Kubernetes to enable increased usership from subject matter experts, there is a tendency to slide backwards, back to that siloed approach, back to a way that isn't really suiting the way that we need to grow digitally. So that's something we're trying to avoid. So this is a cultural shift to the geospatial community of practice. This is a change for our geospatial management approach. So to be successful in this, the community must be mutually beneficial and recognize knowledge as key asset. It needs to be a non-hierarchical with everyone having equal voices, so there's no gatekeeping. Like, you might know a little bit about something or a lot about one thing, but your voice is just as important, and we need to be considering that. The way to enable that is with regular meetings where everybody has the discussions around best practice and enablement, and then we can decide on how to move forward with geospatial capability to provide insights and learning to all members of the team.
So, a little bit about where we're at. So, so central to that hub and spoke type model is the geospatial platform and capability. So the capability being platform, people, processes, etc. So to define the way in which you do geospatial at Waka Kotahi, you've got to have good processes, good platform, good standards, etc. that can be standardized for how we use and do and consume and provide these insights. And as a small geospatial outfit, enabling the business to self-serve in that way with a playbook, with those standards, with this is how we do geospatial at Waka Kotahi is important. The one thing that's really been a blocker for us is our aging and out-of-date enterprise geospatial platform. Yes, we've got ArcGIS Online, a different identity provider for it. We've got an out-of-date platform that's unsupported, and so it's actually quite a blocker to us being able to have that agility and flexibility. So getting the backing of technology, going on the journey with them, coming together and looking at what will give us that always-on type upgrade path, the tools and technology that we need. We have the flexibility of, yes, we can federate in other GIS servers or Windows servers as needed to extend the capability beyond what Kubernetes gives, but there's this flexibility and agility to move and shift and under that framework of GIS as a service for the agency, and that's where Kubernetes really sits well for us and the geospatial team and the strategy that we're trying to deliver for that. And obviously enables the strategies, the digital strategies, and the agency's strategies too. So that's where we're at. So I'll talk a little bit later this afternoon about some of the decisions and options and what's gone into getting us to this point. But this is the business reasons why.
So in conclusion, the systems through Kubernetes enables our capability. Intelligence through the application of modern delivery of that capability to the business and with the business is key. And good practice, processes, and standard operating procedures will help us document how we, as a community of practice, agree to provide spatial as a service. So that's a key for everything going forward. We need to be collaborative by expanded enablement internally, externally, and in geospatial community as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter and Lauren. We're now at the end of the presentations for this morning. I'd like you all to take the opportunity perhaps to acknowledge all of the presenters that we've had this morning. Thank you. Tiny bit of housekeeping before you can, particularly the people in the back, can make a runner for the morning tea. Tonight, it's the conference dinner. Always a highlight, fancy dress. The theme Back to the Future, you can put whatever spin you want on it. If you own a hoverboard, brilliant. I had a little Back to the Future moment myself actually in the hotel. Looked out to the Christchurch Town Hall and saw the fountain there, and it took me all the way back to 1985, where I attended the town hall representing Waimate High School in the Cantamaths competition. Anyone who wants to know what Cantamaths is, who was born after 1990, maybe come and talk to me. But it's going to be a great evening. Look forward to seeing all the fancy dress, all the bits and pieces, and yeah, it will be marvellous. It's in the River Rooms, opening later. But for the rest of the day, I hope you've got your day planned out, the various streams in the rooms. Really, really enjoy. And yeah, let's pop down, get some morning tea, and get on with the rest of the day. Thank you very much for your attendance.